I thought we were perfect. At least that's what I told myself every time we held hands in public, every time friends called us goals, and every time he smiled at me like I was the only woman in the room. He was kind, loyal. My fiancé, Michael, is the kind of man who remembers your coffee order and asks how your meeting went, even when he's exhausted. And still, somehow, it wasn't enough for me. I didn't mean to fall into it. It started innocently. A message from an old friend, Leo. He and I had a history. Nothing serious, just a connection. The kind you never really forget. So when he popped up in my DMs asking how life was, I replied. It felt harmless at first. But then it became something else. I would find myself waiting for his texts, smiling at his compliments, telling him things I wasn't telling my fiancé, like how we'd been arguing more, how I felt like something was missing, how I wasn't sure if this was all there was to love. He listened, and he understood. More than that, he made me feel seen. So I kept messaging him, even when I knew I was crossing a line, even when I turned my phone screen away, every time a text came through. And then it happened. One night, I left my phone on the nightstand. I was in the shower when Michael saw it. The messages, the emojis, the conversations. When I came out, he was sitting on the edge of the bed, phone in hand. He didn't yell. He didn't curse. He just looked up at me and said, "Why?" And in that moment, I didn't have an answer. I told him it wasn't what he thought it was, that I was just venting, that it didn't mean anything. But even as the words left my mouth, I knew they weren't true. It meant something, because I knew I had betrayed Michael in a way that couldn't be undone. He looked at me like a stranger. The same man who once pulled me closer when I felt distant now stood up and walked out. He didn't say another word. I called, I texted, I begged. Silence was his answer. And now, I scroll through our old pictures, our perfect smiles, our engagement party, our weekend getaways, our inside jokes. I wonder how I ever risked all of that for a few texts that made me feel temporarily seen. So if you're watching this and thinking of replying to that harmless message from someone you used to feel something for, ask yourself what it'll cost. Because for me, it cost the one man who truly loved me and the future we could have had. And no message was worth that.